From the moment we entered the New World in One Piece, a large part of the story has been propelled by artificial devil fruits. Recent chapters have shown us how devil fruit powers and even racial traits have been extracted by the world government from the prisoners of Impel Down for decades. In this video, I'm going to show you why this is actually terrifying and how it can impact the story and specifically Luffy going forward. I'll also include some characters that have been captured and held in Impel Down and whose devil fruit powers would pose potentially horrendous opposition for our main cast. From Punk Hazard to Dressrosa to Wano, we've seen the effects of these artificial fruits and how much gravity they have within the world of One Piece. Finally, on Egghead, we're seeing maybe the culmination of this whole technology being used in the Seraphim and their use of green blood. Seeing the Seraphim utilize their devil fruit powers exactly the same way that they manifested in their real life users, with the only downside being the exact same ones as the real devil fruit, means that we are entering a new age of war and technology in One Piece. The fact that Vegapunk can so perfectly recreate devil fruit powers and effects doesn't bode well for us. Because when you think about it, who else has been incarcerated by the world government?
The most meaningful person whose fruit has potentially been stolen is Portgasty Ace. Or I guess it would be Ace if Vegapunk hadn't already stated that he hasn't actually figured out how to recreate the Logia types. He said this in chapter 1070. Ace was, however, imprisoned for a significant amount of time at Impel Down. He actually shared a cell with Jinbei after Ace was captured by Blackbeard. This gave the world government plenty of time to experiment on him and extract his lineage factor. It could be as simple as a syringe or blood sample. We don't really know yet. We've seen that Pacifista and Seraphim shoot lasers like Kizaru's light beams. However, due to the nature of these attacks, we haven't gotten confirmation if they're a recreation of the devil fruit or literal lasers like the General Frankie. You'd think that because it's Vegapunk, they're probably just lasers. Sabo is still alive and wielding the Mera Mera no Mi. However, we have confirmed this doesn't mean that there isn't a little Ace clone or something running around wielding another fruit. Can you imagine what it would be like for Luffy to come up against a clone of Ace or some pacifista that's using a fruit? Actually, now I think about it, I feel like the way that Luffy has since spoken to Otoko in Wano, how he spoke so matter-of-factly about the death of Ace, maybe he'd actually handle it pretty well.
Yeah, so there are actually a few characters that are still alive that have had the devil fruit powers itself or its, abilities copied. Boa Hancock and Kuma, for instance, whose abilities are in use by the Seraphim by way of green blood, and also Kaido's fish fruit, which was replicated by Vegapunk before successfully bestowing his abilities upon Momonosuke. This is actually terrifying, because if their powers can be replicated once, what's to stop them from being replicated over and over again? Sure, you can say that each Seraphim surely costs a godly amount of money. However, with the multitude of pacifista that are now able to be brought to bear and the number of fake fruits that we've seen manufactured, the technology is rapidly progressing and we could soon be seeing mass-produced, successful devil fruit abilities that are extremely powerful. Also, speaking of godly amounts of money, you could argue that money isn't really a factor for the Celestial Dragons. So take the gifters from the Beast Pirates. Even though they were using very unrefined smile fruit powers, they all had some very funny, some fairly grotesque, but all undeniably effective powers. Especially when there was a group of them working in tandem, they even gave the Straw Hats a run for their money. The smile fruits were made from extracting the lineage factor or, basically DNA of living animals and mixing it into an artificial fruit. This gave Kaido's crew a huge power boost that helped to shape them from the bottom up into a formidable Yonko crew. Green blood, on the other hand, has been extracted directly from the lineage factor of devil fruit users and then directly implanted into the Seraphim. As I mentioned, this gives them the exact same powers as the original users, including the same downsides, as mentioned by Lilith recently. We've seen Senor Pink's swim fruit used by S-Shark, Daz Bones' knife fruit used by S-Hawk, Boa Hancock's Mero fruit used by S-Snake, and Kuma's Paw fruit used by S-Bear. Each of these users have been either confirmed prisoners of Impel Down or slaves of the world government. This has in turn given the world government the opportunity to make test subjects out of them and extract their lineage factor, including their devil fruit powers. Some other devil fruit users that have been incarcerated in Impel Down include Crocodile, Ivankov, Bon Clay, Buggy, Inazuma, Galdino, Mr. 3, and also Shiki and Kaido. Knowing what we know now, means that we could be seeing any one of these devil fruits popping up when we least expect it. Imagine someone infiltrating the Straw Hats with Bon Clay's clone fruit. Imagine Buggy coming face to face with his own fruit and having to fight himself. What if the world government has a secret level above the admirals that includes Seraphim-style opponents with the powers of users like Kaido and Shiki? There's so much that could potentially happen at this point, and I'm loving reading weekly so much. It really is a great time to be a fan of One Piece. Alright guys, so that wraps up this video. If you've reached this far, then please consider subscribing, or even just a like, because apparently that helps me get seen by more people. If you've done either, then please let me know in the comments. I would appreciate it so much, and I will talk to you there. Thank you for watching.